I'm Catherine Thomas, and I'm a stay-at-home mother. I like Progress Texas because they give out important information that is going on in Texas and in politics, and I like to know what's going on in my state. I think that we should always be optimistic because once we lose hope, the other side wins. So we need to keep fighting and make sure that we show up to the polls and we show up online and we talk to our friends and family no matter how hard it is.
It's Thursday, February 13th, 2025, and this is the Progress Texas Daily Dispatch. Rapid response on the breaking news stories Texas progressives need to know. I'm Chris Mosier. If we're seeing anything with the Elon Musk and Doge drama in D.C., we're seeing confirmation of the idea I tend to associate with the late Texas Treasurer Molly Ivins, who late in her career determined that politics in America, and perhaps all politics everywhere, is not a struggle between the liberal and the conservative, the left and the right, but between the top and the bottom, between the haves and the have-nots. In a fiery exchange on the U.S. House floor yesterday, Austin Congressman Greg Casar spelled this out, noting that Trump and Musk's cost-cutting efforts so far were not targeting big tech. They were not targeting big pharma, the sources of hundreds of millions of dollars worth of Republican campaign funding, but rather we're going after agencies charged with feeding the sick and the poor, conducting research to control or cure endemic disease, teachers in our public school classrooms, and the $65 a day your grandma lives on via Social Security, as opposed to the $8 million per day that Elon Musk and his operations haul in via federal contracts. All while preparations are underway to extend trillions of dollars worth of Trump tax cuts to the richest Americans. Joseph Morton at the Dallas Morning News says Dallas Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett has also been on Musk's case, chastising her Republican congressional colleagues for having handed over their constitutional role of controlling the federal purse strings to Elon Musk, saying, quote, "It's time for us to do our jobs and rein in this rogue actor," unquote. Big money has a big impact in Texas, too, of course, and that years-long battle has truly come to a head in the 89th legislature. Kate McGee at the Texas Tribune writes on how West Texas oil billionaire, Christian nationalist crusader, and Republican megadonor Tim Dunn has used his riches to pit Republican against Republican in the bitter and bruising race for House Speaker. Part of the issue is a decision made in 2023 by the Texas Ethics Commission to stop enforcing laws, still on the books, by the way, that ban outside spending in the Texas House Speaker's race, based on the notion that that prohibition violates the First Amendment. A decision that, of course, echoes the disastrous Citizens United decision by the U.S. Supreme Court in 2010 and was spurred forward by Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. The result has been a massive uptick in locally directed attack ads, both against Democratic candidates and against moderate Republicans as well. Big money is in full control right now, both in Texas and in D.C. Tim Dunn's investment is beginning to pay off in ways that directly impact all of us, including and especially our school kids. Another report from the Trib says conservative Christian Republican lawmakers are now more emboldened than they've ever been that the courts will back their initiatives to further infuse religion into public education, routing public money into religious private schools, establishing prayer time, enforcing the display of the Ten Commandments in public school classrooms. Meanwhile, Austin Sanders at the Austin Chronicle writes on those same lawmakers' zeal to eliminate from our schools even basic sex education, escalating their push in regard to Texas public school sex ed beyond just the usual focus on abstinence, the sidestepping of any mention of sexual orientation or gender identity, and the requirements of parental approval for these lessons to be taught at all. They now want to criminalize any violation of their sensitive sensibilities by characterizing those perceived violations as the distribution of harmful material to minors. 5 House bills and 3 Senate bills are currently in circulation that would threaten teachers with arrest for daring to teach their students about basic reproductive biology. And why stop there? S.E. Jenkins at CBS News writes on freshman Republican State Rep Andy Hopper of the Northwest Metroplex. He wants to eliminate the Texas Education Agency altogether, transferring their authority to the State Board of Education. By the way, Texas Republicans and the likes of Tim Dunn see all of this as just the beginning. They're encouraged by the Trump win and the heavily stacked U.S. Supreme Court, and efforts are underway to spread all of this nationally. The West Texas measles outbreak story grows worse. Teddy Rosenbluth at the New York Times says the case count is now up to 24. 22 children and 2 adults infected with measles, all unvaccinated, all just as Robert F. Kennedy Jr., a staunch critic of childhood vaccines, is looking all but locked to become the nation's next health secretary. Public health experts are concerned that with that kind of influence, similar upticks of preventable illnesses, many of them relegated to almost no concern in recent decades, will become more frequent. The epicenter of this outbreak has been the small Gaines County city of Seminole, known for its large and insular Mennonite community. The good news here is, as this has all developed, local health departments have set up drive-through vaccination clinics in Seminole, which Laura Anton with the Texas Department of State Health Services says have been embraced by the local community. A new op-ed on the matter from the Dallas Morning News, linked in our show notes, points out the obvious, which is that this measles outbreak in West Texas was 100% preventable. Quote, "It didn't have to happen. The right of one person to decline a vaccination against a serious disease must be weighed against their neighbors or colleagues or classmates or babysitters' right not to be exposed to it. There's no reason hospital and healthcare workers should have been unnecessarily exposed to an easily prevented infectious disease," unquote. February is Black History Month, and Progress Texas advocacy associate Tatum Owens has put together a great essay on this year's celebration, including an extensive list of Black History Month events taking place across the state. See also in the show notes a new listing of Black-owned businesses to support from the Austin American-Statesman. They include fine operations in Corpus Christi, El Paso, Fort Worth, DeSoto, Houston, and more. Our funding here at Progress Texas is rarely sufficient for us to plan much more than a quarter or two ahead, but the conservative disinformation machine we oppose has no such obstacle. They're funded by the oil and tech billionaires and religious right-wing activist groups we've been talking about today. Our regular everyday listeners form a key component of our funding here at Progress Texas. If that's you, we could use your support as a monthly contributor, and no amount is too small. Go to progresstexas.org/donate. Thanks so much to Morgan Daniels, Chuck Cruz, and Alan Carell, all of whom have joined the team lately. We appreciate all of you very much. For our Austin listeners in particular, but really to all of you, the Amplify Austin Day season is officially underway. This year's early giving period has started. Look up Progress Texas at amplifyatx.org or see the direct link in the show notes. The official I Live Here, I Give Here Amplify Austin Day is coming up early next month. That's the Progress Texas Daily Dispatch for this Thursday, February 13th, 2025. Links to all these original stories can be found in our show notes. Progress Texas is a nonprofit, rapid response media organization promoting progressive messages and actions. While campaigns come and go, we're the permanent home for progressive media and action in the Lone Star State. I'm Chris Mosier. Thanks so much for listening. Have a great day. We'll see you again tomorrow.